want to talk about next steps for companies, for organizations, for the people on this panel, so we can actually get started in filling the gap. Steve, I want to start with you, and I want to talk about the role of education. What can that play in encouraging young women and girls to enter the field of cybersecurity?
Well, I mean, education, mentorship programs, they're critical, but I don't know that we could wait for, the girls to walk in the door. I think it has to be proactive. I think we have to go out there and recruit them. I think the Girl Scouts of the USA have done an amazing job. I mentioned earlier, 300,000 girls have earned badges, and that's only, I forget what year it was. I want to say it was 2017. I might be off on that, but it's not a very long time. And it proves that if you roll out the red carpet, if you make the invitation, the interest is there. But it requires a lot of work. It's a lot of effort. So I'm not sure what other programs are there. I think you need willing participants. We are, everybody on this panel is, and we have to be on the lookout. And then I think we should all think about adopting a girl if we can. And it's not something that I'm going to talk out loud about or name names. Just privately doing what we're doing, when we identify young women, girls who we could potentially help, have a dialogue and do whatever it is we can to impart some education on them informally. And we could also share a lot of shortcuts. So I was talking actually recently to somebody and telling them some programs I was personally familiar with, the Google Cybersecurity certificate program, a couple programs on Coursera that they may not have otherwise been familiar with. So, sometimes I think it's just reaching out and sharing what we can, even if it's just, one girl at a time.
I love that. In the nature of reaching out, I think part of that is, let's talk about retaining, right? We're reaching out, we're getting people involved, and now we want to retain those women who are in cybersecurity. Lisa, has there been any successful strategies that have been implemented thus far that have helped in this retention? And is there anything that should be implemented more widely?
I agree with everything that Shai said earlier about remote work and the organizations. I mean, there's a very large one here in Austin that was in the news lately about requiring people to come back. I think that's a mistake. As she said, I think remote work is really, really important, especially for working moms who are working parents in general, but working moms in particular that are juggling just a lot of different things in their lives. The time spent commuting in your vehicle is a waste, unless maybe you're listening to a podcast. I also think for security teams, it can be completely inappropriate to have, especially open plan offices where, I went to full-time remote work when I lost my office with a door and a window, and we went to completely open plan. And I had folks on my team doing, looking at emails from DLP alerts. You don't need somebody walking behind you seeing that you're doing that. You don't need to be on an incident bridge for, 2 or 3 days in a row. Some of these really massive incidents that are time consuming and the investigation, everything is going round the clock. I remember my first Thanksgiving that I was in security, I spent it on a bridge because I had to do incident communications for the executives, and it was an incident that took 3 or 4 days for us to get through. And so if I had to be in the office or stay in the office for any period of time, forget about it. I was able to do that from home and somehow still get Thanksgiving dinner on the table. So I think it can be really, or if you're doing forensics, an employee investigation, all those things, it is so much better to be doing that in the privacy of your own den than to be sitting in an open plan office where people can walk around and go, hey, what you doing? Because some of the things you do, the rest of the organization doesn't need to know about. I also think that the sort of, okay, everybody back in the office now commandment is a great example of trying to be equal or fair or have things be the same. I have 2 20-something daughters, and I have told them both, y'all need to be in the office as much as you possibly can. One of them is in the office 5 days a week. The other one's in the office 3 days a week. And it's because they have a lot to learn. And they graduated college during COVID, and they've never been in that atmosphere before. And, you know, they need to start with some humility and be there and be around other people and have water cooler conversations and all those things, because there's so many other like social cues that they need to pick up on that you're not necessarily going to get in a Zoom call, and relationships that you're not necessarily going to get from a Zoom call. So I think it really depends. You know, I wish every manager had the ability to say, well, you know, you don't need to be here because you work great remotely, but you know what? You just graduated from college and I'd really like to see your smiling face every day. Like I wish there was the ability, the freedom to discern who would benefit and what kind of roles and what kind of people would benefit more from more time in the office. But I think in general, giving all working parents of flexibility is, you know, it gave me the ability to go volunteer at my kid's school in the library 1 lunch hour a week. And if I had to be in the office, which is, you know, 15 miles away, I couldn't have swung that. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of remote work myself.
Yeah, it goes back to that work-life balance that Chai brought up too, is like, you know, that's so important for maintaining retaining people, maintaining the jobs and keeping them there.
Right.
Speaking of things that we can do, I actually want to pass it to Chaitra because she has something to share that's super exciting. And I want to get into the specifics of it really quickly. But I want to talk about, Chaitra, how do you partner with Women in Cloud to get access to scholarships for anyone who's here, any person who has a group, any person who's running, you know, a team that could really benefit from the scholarships that you have partnered with Microsoft to bring out to everyone? How can they partner with Women in Cloud for that?
Sarah, that was a fantastic question. I was like hoping you're going to ask me that. I personally feel is like we have partnered with Microsoft, and they care about the inclusion of women in the AI-driven economy. They truly do. And, you know, coming from that philosophy of helping every human to realize the full potential and also the organization to have their full potential, that value system aligns with me. And that kind of is what I care about for everyone who comes and touches Women in Cloud. So when we partner with organizations, if you are a company who are like, I think I am I echoing? No? Well, is it better? I think so. There you go. So if there are media companies and nonprofits, when we want to partner with them, usually we have a barter system. So we bring in the scholarships so we can distribute together, and we do joint go-to-market with them because that's a benefit for the media company. So they are giving the benefit for their audience, not just the content, but also something to get their audience ready. If it's a nonprofit ecosystem, then we say here is a scholarship that is available for you that you can give. Again, it's a value-driven partnership. And in mutually, we are doing is go to market with them. If there are companies who they believe that they want to really do like what Microsoft is doing, we work with them to really establish a distribution engine of what is required. So that one requires funding, that requires executive buy-in. It's just a lot of work, and it starts usually with a pilot of 50 to 100 scholarship, and then it expands to thousands and hundreds of $1,000s of investment that's going into the ecosystem. But it's really the executives who make a decision. Right now, we are very grateful for having Microsoft give us access to over 5,000 cybersecurity scholarship for US market, so we can deploy that and get the market here. And for the global market, we have few scholarships. You know, we still have that. It's not at the quantity of thousands of scholarship, but Debbie and Laura have made sure, working with their management and the entire leadership team, to make sure the global market also has that access for AI and cloud and cyber. Since we are at the cyber one, I would say if you are not going to take it, please share it with your community, because they will be very thankful that you cared about them for them to get ready in cyber roles. And one of the things we noticed, which is fascinating, was people who are applying for scholarship, they are the people, they either got hacked, the bank got, the bank got hacked, or their email got hacked, their family member got hacked, and that drove them to really make sure they protect their ecosystem and the customer, their immediate network. So they wanted to learn about how to protect. So basic understanding of a cybersecurity is critical for anybody on the planet, along with the AI skilling. Both are important at this moment.
I love that. It made me think too, our two panelists here are partnering with us today for this panel and to bring their information, their experience. And I just wanted to say to anyone who's watching right now, if you came over from Cybercrime Magazine, please use Steve20 as your referral code when you go in and apply for the scholarship. And also for Lisa, if you came over from the National Cybersecurity Alliance, please use Lisa20 so that we know that you came over from them, because we really appreciate their time. We want to make sure we're engaging with your guys' communities and getting those scholarships out to there as well.
Wow, I feel like we're competing and I'm going to have to hold mine up. This is like American Idol.
I got these
20.
ready. I know, Steve 20. Text in now. Text your vote. Yeah, I'm going to put that in the chat. That's funny. I do want to hop over to some quick questions. And then I'm going to have our wonderful producer, Carolina, walk us through how to apply for the scholarship very quickly. But I don't want to keep Lisa and Steve here more than they have to be. So let's jump over to Q&As. Thank you, everybody. We have so many questions here. There's a lot of upvotes. So I'm going to do the ones that have gotten the most upvotes. We're going to start with, it came from Anonymous, but the question is, and it received 7 upvotes, is, how do people navigate the transitions to cybersecurity with so many managers and companies turning to AI instead of diversifying and training their own workforce?
Be bold, go out to LinkedIn, and contact people directly, send out invitations, identify companies that you're interested in, use some of the resources we talked about today, and, jump over the hiring managers. That doesn't mean you can always do that, but you can certainly get out there and network and make the attempt.
Yes, Sarah, there was a cybersecurity memo that was released by Microsoft last week. Usually Microsoft sets their picture of what the new tone looks like in the tech industry. If you remember 2 years ago, it was AI narrative. So everybody was jumping on AI and stuff. Right now, they are saying is we want to protect the world, protect the people, protect the planet. So the cyber narrative has been integrated in everything. So you'll see over the next 1 year, cyber will be the new language for AI, not just they are independent, they are together. So if you are in AI, you also need to know cyber, because the data has to be protected, which the AI tools will be using. So keep that in mind, that if you are getting ready on cyber piece, you are in for a luck for the next 10 years, because those roles are opening up and those are going to be very high paying roles.
All right, I'm going to move on to the next question. That way we can just get at least 1 or 2 more in. The next question was, what advice would you give to women who are currently starting their technology journey? What certifications or skills do they need to thrive in the cybersecurity space?
I'll chime in on this one. I think it's, you can think of cyber as just one, sort of one field. But if you look at, especially NIST has done a really good job of breaking down all of the different job roles within cybersecurity. And so it's really about aligning your personality and what you enjoy with one of those roles. So rather than looking at it, I mean, I worked at a company that did training and certifications, and most people start with their Sec Plus. But I have some thoughts about the whole certification industry. There's a whole lot of free training out there from Microsoft and Google, and there's tons and tons and tons of free stuff before you go spend money on a certification. I know there's a gap between HR managers who want to see certifications before you even get an interview, but I'm hopeful that that'll eventually change. But I would take a really good look at all the different job roles that exist, try and meet people who work in those different functions. Because if you like to, if you like to break things or take things apart and see how they work, that sort of interest, is really helpful for some job roles. But it's probably not helpful for like working in GRC. If you're a rule follower, you might really like to be in audit. It's such a broad field. You could be like me and start in training and awareness and start with, trying to figure out what makes people tick and trying to get their attention and trying to influence human behavior. You could really like doing an in-depth analysis and work in risk. It's such a broad field. So just figure out, what do you really enjoy? Don't try to fit yourself into the role. Look at it from the perspective of like, these are the kinds of things I like doing. And when I do these types of things, man, the day goes really fast because I'm having so much fun. Well, what types of roles do I get to do those types of things? And I apologize. I have to drop for an appointment. So I'm going to let you guys keep going.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for that information. And thank you so much for being here.
I'm going to
Thanks
add
for
one
having
quick
us.
thing to what Lisa said. Quickly, do a Google search, 50 cybersecurity job titles. So anyone who's out there, to build on what Lisa said, do that. And you're going to see a lot of positions with soft skills. It's not just coding.
Amazing. All right. Do we want to do one more question, Chai, or do you want to move on to having Carolina explain the scholarships so people can take advantage of them?
I think it's Marissa who has to come and explain. So we'll have Marissa. She is the expert. So let her come and explain
Okay.
how the scholarships work. Because once you know it, it becomes very, very helpful for you to really apply for it. But at the end of the day, when you're thinking about educating yourself, think about that you're creating a recipe. And, if you're creating a recipe, you need to have a lot of skill, cutting skills, cooking skills, and all the understanding to make that particular recipe is the same thing in tech. So that one will help you really acquire AI skills, cyber skills, cloud skills. You need to understand the foundation because it's very services based. And the cybersecurity education that Marissa will talk about, she will explain how it works so you can apply for it, and also ask your network to apply for it because it's our responsibility to get everybody ready on cyber. Go ahead, Marissa.
Hello, everyone. I've been in the chat a little bit, so it's nice to, I guess, for you all to see my face because I still can't see yours. But as Chaitra said, yeah, our goal is to get people into the cybersecurity workforce. And as you see on the screen, we have over 5,000 scholarships. Our goal is to get 5,000 people in the US certified by December 2025. So you can be a part of that, and your network can be a part of that, and your friends and your family and everyone can be a part of it, because there's a huge gap, not only a gender gap, but just a gap in resources and employees for the cybersecurity field. And it is a growing and important thing that we need. So I'll drop some links when I'm finished talking to make sure you all have the right resources. But I want to say, I did see some Canadians and some people from India in the chat. We do have a global option as well, and it does have a cybersecurity pathway there too. So we are not excluding our global community. So all of those resources will be shared, but the process is pretty simple. You go to our website and you just submit an application. The most tedious part of that application is a 250-word personal essay, just explaining about why the scholarship is necessary, why you're choosing cybersecurity. Give us some details about what you want to do, what your goals are with the certification or with this pathway. And then we have a couple weeks of time to process those applications. And then you get invited onto Coursera. For those that don't know, Coursera is an online learning platform, and this will give you the resources to go through 9 courses of cybersecurity information and be prepared to take that official Microsoft certification exam, which, this is the fun part, we give you a free voucher to take. So at the end of the day, the goal is that you spend no money and can get resources and skilling. And as Lisa mentioned, there sometimes can be a gap between that certification phase and the actual employment phase. So Women in Cloud is also working on building resources so you all can have real world experience and have things that you can put in your portfolio or on your resume as examples of the work that you've achieved and things that you've done in the field. But we have a lot in the works, and we already have a lot that is available for you right now. So I'll put some links in the chat, but thank you all for being here. And I hope to see all of your names on that application pool when I'm reviewing them, and hope to see friends and family saying that you sent them. They can literally say, add me in the other referred by section and make sure that your name is included so we can see that we're spreading the wealth to everyone.
Thank you so much. And I was just thinking too, there's a lot of questions about getting started and not having certifications. This scholarship could fill that gap for a lot of people. So please be sure to check that out. I also want to plug Steve and Lisa one more time and thank them for being so generous with their time and their information and their expertise. Steve has Cybersecurity Ventures and also Cybercrime Radio and Cybercrime Magazine. He is a wealth of resources, so please check out everything that he's talked about and also just go through and read the articles. It is so informational. And Lisa also has a National Cybersecurity Alliance, so please check out her website as well and all of the work that they're doing. Before we hop off, do we want to do the 2 gift cards and see if Steve was the most active here today?
I'll have Marissa or Carolina give the names. They can put it in the chat and we can bring them online and we can congratulate them.
Great.
So, Marissa, Carolina, do you have the names of the people who are very active?
There was a lot of talk today, and it was really nice to see. It was nice to see the emojis and the movie recommendations and the questions. I'm sorry we couldn't get to all the questions, but I do feel like a lot of the questions were about getting started and not having the certification. Things like this scholarship are a great way to get started. While we're waiting for the name, Steve, is there any other activations or initiatives that you can think of that people should take advantage of?
You know, we covered so much ground. I just want to give a shout out to Microsoft, since I know they're sponsoring. They have people there in the company. They really do give back a lot. They've come on our media to share. We're not the largest platform. There's plenty of other places they can go, but they want to reach as many people as they can. We have Sherrod DeGrippo. She's the director of threat intelligence at Microsoft. She's a regular guest with us. So she's on. She's got a great vibe. We've had Amy Hogan Burney. She's the GM of the Digital Crimes Unit, and all of them have, you know, such great messages for women in cybersecurity. I'll save the best for last, for Jakal. She is fantastic, and she always makes the time to answer every question, you know, for anybody who pulls at her, and there are a lot of people. So just all of those people at Microsoft. We had Sarah Gilbert come on with us. She's a community builder at Microsoft, and she's also an opera singer. So if anybody wants to hear a woman in cyber sing opera, then, you know, check out our podcast. So thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Very cool. And I would love to work with you because you have the media angle. We have so much power, because one of the things I saw for serving 7 billion people, there was only 5 movies. That's ridiculous. We should make some more, I think. That's just me coming out of the first reaction to it. But saying that one, yes, we have to fix that. But we have 2 people who were phenomenal today, who actually were active. So Laura, you are one. Congratulations. And Cynthia Cunningham is the second person who was very active in the chat today. So Laura, what was your takeaway from the conversation? I know you were.
All right. So many great things there. I'm going to just choose 2. Representation matters, and the work that each of you are doing, whether it's icons or your podcasts or your books or your work in associations, is really important for women, young girls, and career pivoters to see the opportunities and take advantage. And then the other takeaway is really that the opportunities are there, right? Those certifications and jumping on those scholarships and using your network and using the soft skills that you already have to jumpstart and get the hard skills, or whatever you want to call them, to be noticed and take advantage of this career opportunity. I spent most of my, since 2002 in cyber and security, I'd say, and so many great problems to solve, so many great people to team up with and partner with, and the problems just keep getting larger, so the impact is getting larger.
Again, thank you, Laurie, for being very active, because you are our icon. You are a role model in the network. So we want to make sure the way you are leading all of us is what the community will actually showcase the same thing. And also, Sarah, congratulations for really beautifully hosting this session.
Oh,
We're
thank
so
you.
lucky to have you in our network, and what a great work you did today.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure. It's such a pleasure to learn from everyone. It's a pleasure to hear, you know, the advances being made and what we can achieve in the future.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Chaitra. We'll also say thank you to Lisa, who had to move on because she's very busy, but I really, truly appreciate your time. And I know everyone in the chat is super grateful. I already see people being like, please do the movie post together. So we have people looking forward to our next thing, but please visit Cybercrime Radio, Cybercrime Magazine, Women in Cloud's website, as well as National Cybersecurity Alliance website for more information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.